Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. Three big possible reasons Palantir has dropped from 52-week highs in the $17 range and seems to be hovering now around the $13, $14 range. So I'll go over the possible reasons on why the stock experienced its recent pullback, but currently still holds around that current dollar range, which is still much higher when compared to recent history. So at the moment, the price has calmed down for many Palantir investors who've come in more recently when comparing it to the huge volatility and run-up that was experienced right after their Q1 2023 earnings back in early May. And for those who came in later, this was when prices were hovering around the $7 to $8 range actually, just back in April and May. So personally, I've already experienced plenty of volatility with this stock specifically. So check out my videos on my position if you're actually interested to see where I've bought in the 20s, the teens, and even single digits, building my 5,000 share position today. So one of the big reasons in my personal opinion is that the market overall is calming down from the AI hype. Now, just because excitement around AI is dying, it's just like any human attention-grabbing news story. It's the talk of the town of everything, and then it calms down due to fatigue and uncertainty or just lack of news. And because the market prices in expectations and how they think the future will be and the risks associated with that in achieving said future, not just reflecting current market numbers, we know Nvidia, which is a great example, has greatly benefited too from the AI hype. And they basically gave the closest thing to official numbers with putting on record they expect a huge jump in revenue in their guidance to $11 billion for Q2 2023. Now, it remains to be seen how close they'll be, but either way, raising guidance that much will produce excitement in the short term. Granted, management is not overselling their booming business. And then this leads though to the second reason. Remember, a lot of the price movement, especially for Palantir on AI, happened after their earnings report, which does not reflect any numbers yet on AIP or how they're actually performing in grabbing the market. And add on to this the PR news rampage that they were on, which has finally died down actually, with their latest news only being the signing of the Panasonic deal on June 7th, which is 20 days ago. So Palantir investors are trying to operate on any information they can grab, but in the end, there aren't any hard official financials yet besides what we can estimate from deals until AIP starts reflecting in their financials. And for my own speculation, I don't think AIP will have a huge impact on the next immediate earnings for Q2 2023. And that's with AIP being officially announced on April 7th, 2023. That's just at the beginning of the Q2 performance period, with only 20 days later also too, a letter with Palantir officially saying they'll be making AIP available to a small initial group of customers. So any reflection of AIP revenue on financials will be minimal because that only leaves May and June to try to get any revenue to actually be recognized for Q2 earnings. And I'd also preface that most likely, I'd even think May, or at least the first half of May, is mostly trials and testing from these customers because we saw a few examples from AIPCon. So a lot of this leads to uncertainty to more short-term investors and traders because we just don't know how earnings will look and how long it will take to actually ramp up revenue and customer accounts from AIP. But either way, I'd say the marketing and PR value from all of this coverage on Palantir has helped their business overall, getting their name out there and getting customers at least interested and getting those inbound calls that Alex Karp has mentioned with the most in 1 month, more than they've had like all year. The third major reason started when the market had a lot of excitement before when hearing interest rates were being paused, which is good for companies like Palantir that are growth stocks being priced for future earnings. But Jerome Powell has given more confirmation, even though he did say this before, that inflation is still being pesky in their eyes and are going for that 2% inflation rate no matter what. This is not new news. Now, it definitely doesn't mean rate hikes at all, but instead of lowering the interest rate increases like before, so we were increasing by 75 basis points, then 50 basis points each time, and then 25 basis points. So his approach going forward is most likely wait and see, but still telling us he'll raise rates later in the year to keep those expectations. So it is still better than the for sure rate increases like before with lowering increases. But in the market's eyes, they know they will have to take into account 2 more rate increases, which is what he said, before the end of the year. So what the Fed actually does is still up to the inflation numbers. And I know they're looking out for those housing numbers, which have been one of the most pesky. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, Palantir hasn't dropped huge or stayed stagnant because of bad news per se, but rather the lack of news and uncertainty, and also all these macro things happening, as well as price action after running up so fast. You could also argue for valuation, but that will vary from everyone's different perspective and price targets. My position hasn't changed at all, but remember to do what's best for yourself. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on the recent price action of Palantir and maybe what you think are the reasons behind this, and I'll see you in the next video.